Hey YouTube, it's Rob from RP Model Railroads, and in this video I am going to be making a major change to my Ephrata Valley Railroad layout. Let's start simple. I'm getting rid of that. Well, all of that. The entire elevated line, and I'll explain briefly. So, when I first built this layout 5 years ago, this track worked fairly well. But considering that I'm dealing with a 4x4 platform here, I'm basically stretching the limits of what HO scale curbs can do. And unfortunately, with the way this elevated line is, the way the design is, I never realized that in the future it would cause so many issues. So to explain, the reason is it starts at one straight track. Basically, there's like no straight track on this layout at all. There's two straight tracks over here. I think there's one over there at the coal company, and a few up here in this area. The most of the rest of this are all standard, I believe it's 18-inch radius curves. But anyway, as a result, for the elevated line, normally before you get to a bridge, there should be some sort of straight track so that the train has time to transition as it hits the bridge. Well, I never designed that because there was never room for any straight track on this layout. So as a result, I've had so many derailments and issues with this upper line here, as you can see right here. And, the way that I executed it was fairly well. I put all the supports in place and did everything I'm supposed to. But because of my space constraints and not being able to have extra straight track there, the trains would either derail up there at the bridge area, or now later on I'm having issues as I've tried to fix the cracks in the track up here. I'm now having issues with the track down in this area as it starts to derail on this side, if the camera can focus. So what I'm going to do is I am going to completely tear out the raised line on the rear of this outer line, and I'm going to make it completely flat. Now, unfortunately, this will take away the dynamic that I have enjoyed of the train going up in the back, but really there's no reason for a bridge anyway, because I don't have any sort of water or any sort of geographic formation back there that would make sense for there to be a bridge. The bridge is so low to the ground that it don't even look practical for a 4x4. So I'm just going to be tearing that out, replacing it with just standard track, which will hopefully fix all of my derailment issues, which I'm going to show in just a moment. Alright, just a quick update. So I removed the entire track there, and may have seemed kind of simple because all I did when I originally built this layout, which again was back when I was probably 12 or 13, I hot glued down the trestle supports, which in the end, that glue didn't last very long, which could have led to a lot of my issues as well. And the track, I tried fixing multiple times, but never actually just repaired the entire bridge issue. So, I'm sure the track ended up being more malign than I thought. But anyway, I can already tell that I'm definitely going to have to replace this switch track because unfortunately the track here was soldered because of large cracks previously. And yeah, now I see it's bent up, so that's going to have to get replaced. Which is fine because I want to kind of reconfigure all of this anyway, which, let me see. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to reconfigure all of this track right here. Yeah, so let's get to it. Alright, so what you just saw me do was remove the hot glue dabs that were on the dollar store green felt mats that are actually the basis of this layout. And wanted to make sure to remove them so when I put on new track, that won't get in the way. Because basically what I'm going to be doing, if I haven't already made it clear, I am not putting in another bridge. For two reasons. First of all, this is a small layout. It's not a big layout. It's meant to be a fun layout. And the bridge wasn't very fun with all the issues that it caused. So what I'm going to be doing is basically, I'm still keeping the two-line basis, two separate lines, but I'm going to be making them both flat. Which means I'm going to have to get rid of a lot of the scenery back here, which is fine because most of it's kind of messed up anyway. I'll save what I can. The rest I'm just going to vacuum up to clean this space out, and then I'm going to run the track from here, back around here, and then over there. Obviously, just connect it back up, so that I have a nice straight track that may not be as interesting, but I'll see what I can do. Since I already have to replace that switch track over there, you know, I might add another switch track in somewhere to make it interesting. So let's get into it. Alright, so as you can see, I cleared off the track area on the general place where I'm going to be working here. A lot of the stuff, like I said, was pretty cheap. This ballast stone that I used was dollar store black sand, and I've got a ton of it, so that's no issue to replace. And the main reason why I wanted to vacuum is so, number one, I'd have a clean place to work, and then number two, I would be able to see more of these hot glue dabs from the previous track that I have to remove. Once I get those removed, I'm going to start laying out some of my new, old brass track. I'm not going to be reusing any of the brass track from the bridge area just because. I want to lay it out. I want to make sure that the Ephrata Coal Company here, if I can, want to make sure that that fits. And once I get that spec'd out, I'll give you guys another update. Alright, so after using some rather new track connectors, I was finally able to get the track the way I wanted. So I decided not to do a second switch track on the rear because there just isn't that much space. Let me get over here a little bit to show you. There just isn't like any space back there for another switch track. And there really is no need for a second switch track. I don't even really use those things. And it wouldn't really make much sense since the coal company sits where it sits. But anyway, here's what I've got so far. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be going with the same sort of switch track here that I had before, with a little switch track branch that goes up there. The coal mine fits perfectly where it is, and as far as the track, it looks like it is a tight squeeze, but it seems like trains will work. So, I got my AHM Pennsylvania Railroad GG1 out. This is actually a locomotive that I could not run on the outer line before, due to the bridge and the incline, etc. So let me see if it will run. By the way, it is the longest locomotive I have, so if this locomotive can pass the new track I've done, then any locomotive and car should be just fine. So let's see what happens. Looks like the GG1 got stuck in a tree. Anyway, the track is working, so the next step is to get some nails, nail the track down so it's not all the way it is right now. I'm definitely not going to be using any hot glue. Finish up this little siding here, and then I can move on to re-ballasting and scenicking everything. So upon fully nailing down the track and going over a few places where the track was bent, it seems to be that my GG1 is doing perfectly fine with no derailments, which is fantastic. I'll obviously know even more about the track when I put some cars on here, but if my longest locomotive can run on here, then I'm confident that anything can run, especially considering that there are no gaps and no cracks in the track, which happened with the previous track. So now what's going to happen is I am going to work on this siding by the Ephrata Coal Company. I should add a track abutment there to end the track, nail that down. Once all the track is completely nailed down, then I'm going to start ballasting, which you'll see in a moment with the black sand, and then I will begin adding some fall foliage back where the foliage was. As far as the wood area back here, I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with that, as the track is pretty close to that area. I'll probably try to put some scenery back there. I'll do the best I possibly can. So let's jump right back into it. Product just looks amazing. I am very happy with the final results, and the best part is no more derailments, or at least no more bridge derailments, that is. Track has been completely nailed down in the rear back here. There is no more issues, no more big track gaps that are knocking train cars off, which is just fantastic. And by the way, I should mention that since I was re-ballasting and completely destroying everything, I decided to take away the yellow grass woodland scenic stuff that I put underneath the Southern Oil Company. When I put it down, I wasn't really a big fan of it. I did plan on changing it in the future, so I figured now was the right time. And I replaced it with this almost black soot-looking soil, which just looks fantastic compared to the black ballast stone here around the track and around the Ephrata Coal Company. And really adds to the Southern Oil Company much better than the yellow grass stuff did. So especially with the red of the oil wells. So yeah, that definitely looks great, as well as the track as well. Now, as far as these trees back here, that's another project. I may get to them. And the exposed wood, I'm not very happy with that, since now this wood in the back is completely exposed. Unfortunately, there's not enough room between the track and that wood to put any clump foliage to kind of look like bushes back there, so I'll figure something out in the future about that. But mainly my goal in this video was to try to get the track completely fixed and have a completely flat track on the Ephrata Valley Railroad, which this is completely a game changer to a layout that I've had for close to almost 6 years now. 2021 will be 6 years, which something special will be happening next year, I'm sure, to this layout. And will continue to. But anyway, for the rest of the video, enjoy some train action of my AHM GG1 running around the outer line perfectly now, thanks to the fact that A, there is no bridge, and also B, all of the track has been fixed, and there's no more track gaps that have been on this layout plaguing it, especially on the outer line, for so many years. So yeah, enjoy some train action, and I'll see you in the next video.